And just like that, ladies, gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you guys are watching this. We're back for episode 2. And Manny, are you okay?
I'm catching my breath.
You're catching your breath.
I'm too fat to run up and down the stairs.
It's okay, Too Thick. It's okay.
Yeah. Good thing I do fantasy and not the real thing, huh?
Yes, God bless that for all of us. I mean, Mike could probably still hang. I can't.
Yeah.
I try, man. It's not like it used to be.
we're all now. You were fast, man. But yeah,
at a time.
Yeah, at a time. They probably wouldn't believe everything that we were able to do in the past, and that's facts. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you and welcome to episode number 2 of the Next Up Fantasy Show. I'm Will, and with me as always is my 2 co-hosts. So first, let's go ahead and give it up to Mike T. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, guys. Blessed to be here with you guys. It's week 3, so I'm excited to see what topics we have, get into that. And I just really want to say thank you to anyone who's been watching these videos and been on this journey with us. It's been really, really cool. So happy to be here. Let's go, guys.
Such a thankful person he is. Manny,
No.
I don't like you. So Manny in the background. We'll just introduce him. Manny, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm glad you. Yep, I am scattered, brain. You can't throw this. I got ADD that I'm like focused. I can't focus on 2 things. But welcome to the fantasy show. I'm excited. I love coming on and just talking what I love is fantasy. And thank you guys for watching. And hopefully we bring you better content throughout the weeks to come.
Thank you. Everyone's being thankful for this week, and I guess it's my turn to go ahead and do the same. And once again, I'm Will, and I just want to personally say I'm just Will. Just want to personally thank each and every one that's subscribed to not only the YouTube channel but also the Instagram page. Where we're doing a slow build on that. Everything is a work in progress. If there's anything that you guys want to take a look at, or if there's anything that you want to be put on there, just definitely let us know. And we're just going to work our butts off to continue to keep giving you everything that you guys want. So thank you, each and every one of you who's been riding with us this whole time. And once again, it's a Thursday, and we have only one game playing tonight, and right now that's the Bears and the Seahawks, so not really a watchable game, but that does go into at least our first topic, and it's not even a first topic. We're just gonna throw out a couple of things that's been happening in the league or throughout the league. So pretty much we're just gonna do like a news and notes type of thing. So one of the thoughts that I immediately thought about, since we were talking about the subject of Seahawks, is Manny's boy, Kenneth Walker. So Kenneth Walker, who we were looking to see if he was going to be the guy that's going to start and get the majority of the carries, ended up getting a little bit hurt. And right now, I forgot what the official injury is, but they said that it's not too serious. But Pat Carroll, who's usually a guy that doesn't give up anything as far as like what the situation is still staying tight-lipped as far as the situation. So I do want to go ahead and let's just go ahead and go to Manny with that first question. So what are your general thoughts on the Kenneth Walker injury, and does this possibly change your mind as far as using him at all, or even drafting him in the first place?
So his injury is a hernia. It's not a sports hernia, which, I'm not a doctor, but I heard that it's worse to actually have a sports hernia. But he did have a procedure done, so he's not going to be in these preseason games. Being a rookie and not being able to, practice and train, it's going to knock him down a bit, because even when he comes back, he's not going to be ready. So I'm not drafting him anymore. Rashad Penny moved up a little bit, but the case is for me is Rashad Penny is also injury prone. So be careful. The line is pretty rough for the Seattle Seahawks, they don't really have a person to catch from the backfield. So I'm curious how this is going to work out.
You know, Rashad Penny was still a stud last year, and I don't want to take away from. I'm not one of those people that just think about or take away from the past couple of games of a season. If that player is good, then regardless of when it was done, like it's something for people to actually consider for the future when it comes to drafting for the next year. So Rashad Penny, of course, is one of those players. And another one that actually Manny liked last year was Amon-Ra St. Brown over in Detroit that had an insane last 6 games of the season. And he was just a rookie. So like, I'm not going to knock that. I'm not going to knock that against him when it comes to drafting him. I believe he's going on in St. Brown anyway. It's going in the 3rd round, I believe. So it's always someone to possibly look into as far as that. But I know that we can talk about Kenneth Walker forever because he's Manny's boy. But I think there's something a little bit more important that's out there right now. And I think that's what people want to know about. Deshaun Watson ends up getting an 11-game suspension instead of the original 5. Wrote an article on the Instagram page originally about it, but like now that this is more games as far as how much he's going to get suspended for, a lot of thoughts are a bit changing with not only the Browns but also for us as fantasy players. So let's go ahead and go to Mike. Mike, what are your general thoughts as far as what's going on with Deshaun Watson, and what are you doing for the future in drafts as far as not only just Deshaun, but also players that are that are playing for Cleveland?
All right. It's sad, man, because what's happening is exactly what I thought would happen. I mean, honestly, I thought he'd probably miss the whole year. So when they came out with the first 6-game suspension, I knew that was a little light. You know, I mean, Zeke missed, I think, 6 games for something that's was less egregious. So I saw it coming. Unfortunately for Cleveland fans, it's Cleveland, right? Like, what's going to go bad will go bad. And it went bad. So I would probably stay away from Cleveland pass catchers. Well, I definitely will be staying away from Cleveland pass catchers. I believe Jacoby Brissett's the backup, and he's decent. But, yeah, man, it's just not going to be the same. It's not. And, you know, Amari Cooper will be their number 1 target. He's still playable, perhaps in a flex position, but that's not going to be the guy you're going to want to get. If he falls into your lap somewhere and you can make that happen, then go ahead and make that happen. But definitely aren't going to be reaching for him. I'm not excited about any of their pass catchers. But one silver lining out of this can be if you can get your hands on one of the running backs, maybe Nick Chubb or the other guy, Hunt. Sorry. If you can get your hands on Hunt, then I do think that they will be leaned on very heavily because I just don't think that the pass production will be there until Deshaun Watson can play.
And of course, how great is it?
But doesn't Hunt want to leave? So I don't even know. But I mean, you know, it's tough for Cleveland, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with Kareem Hunt. But like, what's funny is, or what's great is the fact that his very first game, Deshaun Watson, his very first game that he'll be able to play is against who else than the Houston Texans. And
I feel like the NFL is doing this stuff on purpose because it's funny how Baker Mayfield's first game is going to be against the Browns, but I love it. I mean, it's the TV that we want to see, so let's do it. But yeah, that's just such a coincidence.
Russell Wilson first week is against Seattle.
Yeah, I love it, but it's just
there was one more I forgot. I'm sorry, you were going to say something, Manny?
Yeah, so the starter is Jacoby Brissett, right?
Right.
Yeah. So he likes to target, his tight end. So he's a big guy that he likes to go to his tight end. So take that as you will. I think Njoku is right.
Is it right?
Yeah. So I was actually trying to look on who the tight end is because I'm going to add him up as he was talking about it.
So David Njoku.
Yeah.
There you go. That's actually someone I was going to mention as well. And that's usually not only just for Jacoby Brissett, but also just backups in general. Them and rookies usually like to rely on heavily on not only running backs as far as like a quick toss, but also tight ends. But Jacoby Brissett has been playing for years, and he's a journeyman backup, and has had a couple of times where he started himself. So, like, do you feel is it? And anyone can answer this one. Do you feel that it's possible that Jacoby Brissett can actually be like a little bit better than your average backup, or your average well, definitely better than rookie, but just someone who's just out of the blue, someone that's starting? Does Jacoby Brissett have the opportunity to be, I guess, let's go with fantasy relevant?
I would say no, but he's going to be a good backup for the Browns because he's been a starter with the Colts. He does have he can run, right?
Right.
So you get those rushing yards, but there's other quarterbacks ahead of him that I would go for. He would be a good stream on certain weeks if the Browns are playing like the Texans or something, and you need a quarterback. Why not?
And
that's actually another point. Go ahead, Mike.
I was gonna say, I feel like Jacoby Brissett, I totally agree. My only, disagreement, I guess, not even a disagreement, but my only thing would be, I think that Jacoby Brissett has a ceiling, a definite ceiling, right? Like, he's not gonna go out here and do Patrick Mahomes type things or Justin Herbert type things, So if you're you're not drafting him probably, but if you're streaming him, you just have to go into it level-headed and understand that if he can get 220 yards and 2 touchdowns, that's a great game for Jacoby.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's something that hopefully everyone that's listening to this has an understanding of. Like, there's going to be limitations with Jacoby Brissett. Like, yes, he can run, but there's going to be a likely chance, especially with that O-line. The O-line is actually pretty decent. So there's a great chance that they're not going to do as much passing as there could have been if Deshaun Watson was in. But this may be more of a run game for Cleveland, more specifically like the way that they've been for the past couple of years. So this could be Nick Chubb season with a sprinkle of Kareem Hunt. Once we figure out if Kareem Hunt's actually going to play with them or not. Otherwise, Dean Johnson.
I'd be more likely to draft him if he had Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham still as his wide receiver core. Without those two, I mean, who's he throwing it to?
Amari Cooper and the rest.
Yeah,
there's nobody else.
I mean, Amari Cooper will go off one game and be non-existent another game, so it's going to be tough. You got to pick him on the right week type deal.
And just like Mike stated, it's one of those where it's to the point where you have to feel that Amari Cooper has less relevancy now when it comes to being a wideout. Like, originally, probably with Deshaun Watson, even when he was suspended 5 games, he probably had an okay outing. Like, they can survive with him without 5 games, but 11, especially with Deshaun's first game being the 13th week, and then from there the fantasy football playoffs is like just around the corner from there. It's like it's extremely difficult to even consider not only drafting him, Watson, but also keeping him on your bench and even picking him up in the waiver wire, because last week he didn't really have the best of starts for preseason, and he's not allowed to work out with the team or anything until that suspension is over. So it just makes you wonder, like, is Deshaun Watson even a player that you can even pick up, not even just draft, just pick up at all this year? So
I don't think so. He looked rusty in preseason, and not being able to be with the team. I mean, they do have a bye going into it, or I think it's week 9 they have a bye. Mm-hmm. But I think they play the Texans, but if Jacoby Brissett's playing well, why have Watson rush back? And I'm going to say this right now. It pisses me off that Calvin Ridley got a year suspension for gambling. I'm a degenerate, just like Calvin Ridley. He gambled on a parlay that just had his team winning. That was his first mistake. He had the Falcons winning without him. But he gets suspended for a whole year. And I know Mike kind of said it. Z got a lesser. It was still a bad, but he got 6 games for that. But 11 games, Deshaun shouldn't be playing this year. regardless.
And I 100% agree with that. But like, who are we? We're just.
I'm a salty Ridley fantasy owner.
No, but
you did have him last year. I remember. You talked about.
It doesn't make sense at all. But it's
Nope.
Yeah.
We can't do anything about that. Like I said, we're just owners on fake teams.
Degenerates have lives too.
Degenerate lives matter. So another person I wanted to talk about as far as news and notes was something else that I posted on the Instagram page. Aaron Rodgers is not a fan of some of the wideouts that he currently has. And with that being said, like Aaron Rodgers is kind of similar to Tom Brady when it comes to who he throws to and things like that. He's more of a person that he'll throw it to you if he has the full trust in you. I know it's still a little bit early in training camp, but do you feel that any of the receivers is going to eventually get and gain the trust in Aaron Rodgers for them to be any kind of relevance or to have any kind of relevance in fantasy? Let's go with Mike.
Do I feel like the receivers will gain the trust of Aaron Rodgers? They better. On that team, they better. I do like Christian Watson's skill set, so I do think that eventually, I know he's been hurt, so he's going to have to work himself in, but I do think that eventually he will be a pretty reliable target for Aaron Rodgers. Even Alan Lazard, who I said last week I didn't like, I should rephrase that. I really don't like him as a number one receiver, but I think as a receiver, as a number two or possibly number three, I think that he can be fine. They have the Dobbs kid. He was getting a lot of work in the last preseason game, so he's there. So I do think that eventually the receivers will gain his trust. But he just lost Devontae Adams, so I can understand his pain and frustration. None of these guys are him. But Aaron. Another thing is Aaron is kind of Aaron, so we'll see. He kind of, I don't know, his personality is kind of pessimistic to me to begin with. So I'm not taking everything he's saying with a grain of salt, but they'll figure it out. But I do think they have some options, and I think it'll come. They're young. He's got to give these guys some time to get it together.
It's making me like Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon more and more.
Mm-hmm.
AJ Dillon, I didn't see where he is on the ADP right now, but Aaron Jones is going in the mid to late second round, and that could be possibly a steal.
Well, he also said he did like Alan Lazard, he's going to be the number one. He did that, and you know how his number ones are, Jordy Nelson and Devontae Adams. So maybe Alan Lazard he's going. I think Alan Lazard's going in like the 8th, 9th, or 10th round this year. To get a number one receiver that's Aaron Rodgers, I'm picking Alan Lazard up everywhere.
If you possibly can, but
yes.
I'm still skeptical.
But Alan Lazard at round 9, round 10 is your bench player. Your bench wide receiver is a one that you can plug in.
So do you feel that Alan? So you pretty much feel that Alan Lazard is going to be the guy that pretty much Aaron Rodgers will actually be okay with.
Yeah, you have to earn Aaron Rodgers' trust. Look at Jordy Nelson's rookie year and look at Devontae Adams' rookie year. They weren't what as their number one. He didn't really try. I feel like he has to trust you to throw the ball. So when you go to those stats, I don't know if on the top of my head for Devontae Adams, Jordy Nelson, but they were non-existent. And Aaron Rodgers has always been praising Alan Lazard.
Right.
But he just had Devontae Adams.
It's kind of a shame that Aaron Rodgers did come back and he was expecting Devontae Adams to still stay, but then just out of nowhere, just give me to the Raiders.
Alan Lazard, it's a tricky play. Let me do a breakdown on Alan Lazard.
Break it down.
Let's go.
College days. Alan Lazard, I used to watch him a lot at Ohio State. At Iowa State, excuse me. Buckeyes fan. It's my nature to say Ohio, but at Iowa State, used to watch him a lot there. And Allen Lazard, he has good hands. He has a big body. He knows how to put it in position to make catches in the red zone, all throughout the field. But he's just not an explosive receiver, right? So while he's reliable, I think he has limitations. Kind of similar to what I just talked about with Jacoby Brissett, right? He has limitations. So he's an interesting player because I can see him exceeding his, expectations, but I can also see him falling short of his expectations. He could win you a league, but he could lose you a league. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with him.
Okay, that's 100% fair. And I'm just trying to get an idea, like in my mind, like who else is there that's out there. Okay, we do have Christian Watson. We have Romeo Dobbs. We also have
Sammy
we still
Watkins.
have what was that?
Sammy Watkins is there.
Sammy Watkins is there.
They also have Amari Rodgers, who people kind of forgot about, but that kid they drafted from Clemson last year. He's pretty explosive. So we'll see what happens with him as well.
Rodgers to Rodgers.
Yeah.
And one more, just some guy that he somewhat knows about, Randall Cobb, is actually still there for some reason. But I feel one of them's gonna get cut. Just don't know which one it is. And it's probably not gonna be Randall. But overall, like I said, I'm kind of more into Aaron Jones more and more the more I keep reading these things. But just like I said, there's a little bit more time left in camp, so I'm just going to say just let it chill and he'll be all right.
Are you nervous about the 50-50 split with A.J. Dillon, though? Drafting Aaron Jones so high?
I can't be, because I feel that I think that they're going to be on the field at the same time. So they're not going to always be like singular 1-and-1 and that's it.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean AJ Dillon's going to be fine, and especially with the fact that like he's not the biggest fan of how the receivers are. He's going to need someone like AJ Dillon got Rodgers' trust last year. So Dillon may go out there as a receiver, like as a short pass receiver if needed. So if anything, yeah, I'm not too concerned about that. Aaron Jones is still gonna go in and get his touches and carries and be the end zone guy. So I'm not too concerned about that. One concern, and I'm just going to say that he was injured and he's going to be out for a couple of weeks and might not even start week 1, is every mother's favorite quarterback, Zach Wilson. So Zach Wilson ended up getting hurt, and then from there he ends up getting a 2 to 4 week timeline as far as coming back, and that includes him not being there for week 1 this year against the Ravens. And since we were talking about, there's the irony of this person starting against former teams, who's the backup for the Jets again?
Flacco.
Joey Flacco.
Yeah.
And he gets to play against his former team, the one he gave a Super Bowl to.
Yep.
So one of the questions that and another thing is, since we're talking about the subject of Jets, and I want to get Mike's thoughts in a moment, but also Michael Carter is showing a little bit more grit during the preseason game that they had last week. Him and Hall actually ended up splitting evenly the snaps that they did with the first team during the game. So Mike, my question to you is, actually anyone can answer it really, are you guys confident possibly in Michael Carter as far as being more of the lead back versus Breece Hall?
Go to Manny for this one. Let's see what he has to think about this.
That's your two guys, Breece Hall and Carter.
That was my thing for last week. All right, I'll go for it. All right.
Yeah.
Do I say that again? Just so I can
just generally, what are your thoughts about Michael Carter possibly pretty much taking over as the starting running back now versus Breece Hall?
Well, I mean, like I said last week, I think Michael Carter, in my opinion, should be the starting running back. He's already kind of proven that last year. that he can, handle the load. He breaks tackles. I think he respected him. He did well for himself last year when he had an opportunity to play. But Breece Hall, was the second-round draft pick for them this year, so I can definitely understand if they want to put him out there. But if it was me, I think they would be better served to use Breece Hall like a third-down running back, letting him catch balls out of the backfield, letting him block if need, and use Michael Carter as their, primary running back. I think that would serve them best. That's what I would do. So if that's what's happening, if that's coming into fruition, I think that should be expected. I mean, he's the veteran, even though he's 1 year older. I mean, he's the veteran. He's been there, and he's proven to be effective in that role. So I don't understand why they would change it. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. Also, like, what scares me is drafting Breece Hall, and I think the 4th round.
Right.
And like you're saying, I agree with you. He should be like the 3rd down. Michael Carter's not. I think Breece Hall's getting drafted before Michael Carter, to be honest with you. So, I mean, it's kind of weird right now in that situation. So if you pick up Michael Carter later in drafts, you're really getting the number 1 wide receiver or running back. So I agree with you. I knew you did that breakdown last week, so that's why I was like, maybe you should go first on this one. But I do want to talk about the Flacco thing. Garrett Wilson, I believe his name, the wide receiver for the Jets,
right,
went on and said that Joe Flacco throws a more friendly ball than Zach Wilson. And it's funny because remember my guy Elijah Moore?
Mm-hmm.
He excelled when Joe Flacco was the quarterback. When it was Zach Wilson, he was non-existent. So my player of Elijah Moore just got more exciting for me because with Flacco, he was like top 10 wide receiver.
So if Joe Flacco does well, and he's only going to be there for, as of right now, just for the first game, does Joe Flacco keep the starting position?
No.
You know what's funny to me, man? Do they still have Mike White?
They still have Mike White.
I like him better than both of those guys. So that's the crazy part to me. They have I can see Mike White being the starter at some point. I was never a Zach Wilson fan. I mean, they made a big deal about him at the combine, being able to throw off these awkward platforms. Like, that's not how real football is played. Like, if you have to throw the ball like that, maybe once or twice a game, cool, But I mean, that's not how football's played. So I've never really been a big Zach Wilson fan. So I could see anything happening in this situation. But I don't think Flacco's better than him.
No.
But I just don't know if Wilson can stay healthy. He seems to be injury prone. So
Flacco has the experience on both of them. So and if the wide receivers are liking his throws better, maybe him saying that is just like maybe Zach Wilson throws too hard or something throw hard. I don't know. I don't know how to interpret it, but it sounds like Flacco, the wide receivers like his ball better than Zach Wilson. So,
I mean, just like you said, Flacco has the experience. I mean, like I said, he won a damn Super Bowl, and Zach Wilson is still raw. So there's still more tweaks that has to be put in as far as getting it fixed with his everything really. So Zach Wilson, just in general, help you do feel a little bit better. Get well soon and all that good stuff, and hopefully see you on the field sometime this year. Hopefully, we'll see. There was one more player. Well, I was going to talk about Mecole Hardman with his leg injury, but I don't think there's really too much to discuss when it comes to that. Mm-hmm. Just gonna say I told you that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be last place, and it's going to be all because of Mecole Hardman.
That's a rise for Juju, in my opinion.
I mean, they wanted Mecole Hardman last year to try to do the same things that Tyreek Hill can do. And the only similar thing that they have is speed and nothing else. Like, I wish Mecole Hardman did a little bit better last year, but he just ended up flopping time after time because he was given multiple opportunities to be Tyreek Hill. But they just pretty much gave it to everybody else. But now it's Juju's time to shine. Now it's MVS's time to shine. Travis Kelce, he's always going to be Travis Kelce. There's no question about that. But like Mecole Hardman just kind of flopped it, and I really wish he didn't. So we'll see how he does. Like he's like Mecole Hardman's not getting drafted at all in these leagues. But if you do a best ball, then that's one person you can just throw in there as a let's see what happens. But really not much else to say about Mecole Hardman. And next week, like not next week, this coming week when the Chiefs play, there's a running back, Isaiah Pacheco, in Kansas City. Like, I want people to start looking at him to see if he's like actually the next, maybe not the next guy up when it comes to running backs for Kansas City, but like I'm starting to hear more and more about him as far as possibly being just as good, if not better, than some of the running backs currently there in Kansas City. They have the expectation of keeping 3 running backs, which is not really that much. CEH, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is 1. They're looking into Isaiah Pacheco as number 2. And number 3 was, I believe, Jerick McKinnon, which would leave the person who just signed with them, Ron Jones, from Tampa Bay, to be like the person to be the odd man out. So really curious to see how well Pacheco does play. So if anyone gets a chance to take a look at him this weekend, like give me your thoughts. And the next week we'll probably be talking him out like, oh, that's the guy. So all right, so that's pretty much enough for the news and notes for today. I wanted to get into something else a little bit different now that we're getting a little bit more closer and closer into drafting. I know there's people that ask questions about who to draft, when to draft, and things like that. So for right now, I'm just going to talk. We're just going to discuss like first rounds, or just the first round, excuse me. And one way to help us out, like let's go ahead and do it this way. I'm actually going to pull up the ADP based on Fantasy Pros as far as the top 12. So who will be in the first round? What's the first round top 12 players? And this is the order. So it's going to be Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler, Cooper Kupp, Derrick Henry, Justin Jefferson, Najee Harris, Dalvin Cook, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, Devontae Adams, and Steph Diggs. So that's your top 12. So I guess one of the questions that I had is, first of all, out of those 12, if you need me to repeat it again, I will. Is there anyone, I'm gonna go with Manny. Is there anyone that you feel is a bit out of place when it comes to their current ranking?
So there's one person I'm actually avoiding, and that's Najee Harris. I don't believe he's better than Cook. I even would take Diggs, Joe Mixon, all those back-end running backs before him. Steelers O-line, right? We got the new quarterback. Their O-line's not great. They have Deontay Johnson still, but I don't see Steelers being good this year. And with that being the case, Najee Harris, yes, he gets the ball a lot. And has like, what did he last year? He would get the ball a lot, but only go like 2 yards per carry.
Like 2-3 yards, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't want a player like that in the first round. So I'm avoiding Najee Harris at all costs in this year's draft.
Mike, is there anyone out there that seems a little bit out of place?
I like the Najee Harris one. No, not really to me, other than that. But like I said, me personally, I'm staying away from CMC. I just don't believe he can stay healthy, unfortunately. I'm not going to say that he's out of place, because if he can stay healthy, he's he's a very good player. But me personally, I'm staying away from him. But other than that, I think everybody else they're okay in the position that they're in. I don't have any big issues.
Like, one of the thoughts that I had when I first read it was like, this is just how people are. This is just the way people are actually drafting. But it kind of feels like that there's certain players that have bigger and better opportunities versus those that are being drafted in that certain order. So like one of the first ones that I kind of had on top of my head was, well, Mike, you said that in your league that I had the first pick.
Mm-hmm.
And I am not going to have any problems selecting Christian McCaffrey first. I don't have a problem with that. I know a lot of people are probably thinking, okay, Jonathan Taylor is there. Why aren't you picking Jonathan Taylor? I just kind of feel that Jonathan Taylor, there's going to be others. There's going to be different situations that are totally different compared to how it was last year when it comes to the Colts. They have, for starters, they have Matt Ryan. They have Matt Ryan, and they Mike's gone. I'll just go back to myself. So they have Matt Ryan, and with Matt Ryan, he's a gunslinger. So because of that, you're going to be throwing it way more often than you usually do. So that brings Jonathan Taylor's rushing ability a little bit down. They want to play Naheem Hines a little bit more in the passing game as well. So that takes Jonathan Taylor away from the pass catching ability. And one of the things that made the Colts good last year was the fact that a majority of the times that they were playing, they were actually in the lead. So I kind of feel that there's going to be more availability for them to not be in the lead. And because of that, there's going to be more passing than it was last year, which is kind of why I like Michael Pittman more this year. But I feel that there's going to be a lot of touches taken away from Jonathan Taylor, which is why I feel that there's going to be less opportunity and less touchdown upside for Jonathan Taylor. So me personally, I don't mind doing CMC first at all.
I bet the person that's drafting second is going to be so happy about that. Is that you, Mike?
Mike, who's second?
I'm not second.
Oh.
Draft order, but I'll give it to you. Second, I believe I think it's either RJ or Otis. So yeah,
Okay.
they'll be scooping him up probably.
Isn't Otis the one that wins your leagues every time?
No, my buddy Mike, same name as me, but
Okay.
Mike, the one who wins my league every single time. But he probably should. He's actually a great football player. Went to Delta State, played D2 football, defensive tackle. So yeah,
he knows his stuff.
he knows his stuff.
No, I like it. I like the idea of Jonathan Taylor like being a less of a workhorse because they have Matt Ryan now, right? I don't know. It's just hard to not draft Jonathan Taylor when you're given the first spot. He's just a beast. The problem is he's not really a catch back, right? And CMC, if you're a full PPR and CMC's healthy, that dude is a monster. So it's the health issue. Like Mike said, if we could guarantee CMC is going to be number one, then why not? That he's like overall number one by a lot.
I'm taking him without any question as far as number one overall, because I feel that if there's going to be anything that's going to put me over, it's practically going to be that. I'm going to need a stud running back anyway, I feel. So and the players that I draft, I feel confident in the rest of them. So that's good. That's Mike got something to say.
We have a bet. I think you two should have a bet on this CMC issue with Jonathan Taylor.
I feel like he's giving me the okie doke, though. I feel like he really is. Like he's saying all this, and then draft night he's gonna draft Jonathan Taylor. I just feel like that's what's gonna happen.
I have no time for this. The only way.
I need you right now. So you're telling me you are for sure, because you got the first pick. It's up to you. You are for sure taking CMC with your number one pick.
There's only one exception, and it's an understandable exception. The only exception is if we just so happen to see, I don't know, CMC get hurt.
Well, of course.
Like so like if something happens to him prior to that, then yes, I'll pick Jonathan Taylor number one then. But otherwise, Mike's league. Let me go into the camera. Let me go in the camera and look at and let everybody know in that specific league.
Right.
I am picking CMC number one in that league. Let's go. So there you go. So
Okay.
that's the official thing. So everyone do your mocks based on that.
Now, at the end of this league,
Yes.
or at the end of the season, we're gonna have to come back. All right, and we're gonna have to see how that worked out for you, positively or negatively. All right, and we can.
And that's okay.
Something about that, or put a wager. I don't know, but we're gonna come back. And I want you to let me know how that worked out for you. If you,
I'm a degenerate. We need a wager.
Let's do something. If you win the league,
mm-hmm.
No, is that fair? Him winning the league or
the entire league?
Dude, Jonathan Taylor versus CMC, who has the most points by the end of the year?
CMC and Jonathan Taylor.
Yep.
Okay. So if CMC, you don't have to do anything for me, but if CMC has more yards at the end of the year or more fantasy points, forget yards, more fantasy points than Jonathan Taylor, I will buy you a CMC jersey.
Ooh.
Okay. You don't have to wear it. You don't even have to, you can just keep it in your collection, but I will get that for you.
He's all excited.
I'm trying to think like, that's kind of nice. Okay.
That's fair. Okay. It's okay.
No, I'm not saying it's not. No, I'm not saying it's not fair. I'm just trying to think. Okay, like so, if Jonathan Taylor wins, like, then I would have to get you. So I'll get you a jersey. This is a jersey bet. So
jersey bet?
Is jersey bet too much?
No. We're good. No, we're good. No, jersey bet is perfect.
Okay.
But I'm just trying to think. Like, what can I get you? Who can I get for you?
Well, if Jonathan Taylor, and I'm definitely not a Jonathan Taylor fan like that, but I'll take the jersey. If Jonathan Taylor wins, you give me the Jonathan Taylor joint, and I'll wear it.
You're a witness, Manny. So
get him a Penn State one. Give him a Penn State Jonathan Taylor jersey.
See, I was kind of thinking in the way of like a punishment versus
that is a punishment.
Versus a reward. What, the fact that I got to pay for it?
Huh?
Well, no, I mean he has to wear a Jonathan Taylor Penn State jersey if you win.
I mean, I don't even like Jonathan Taylor, but okay. What else? I mean, what do you want to do then? We don't have to do that. I'm just. I was just saying that I would do that for you. You didn't have to do that for me. I'm just saying.
No, this is what I was thinking. I was thinking if
he wants a 49ers jersey.
Okay, you want me to get you that?
No.
Okay, no, we can do that.
If I win, I'm thinking about this in my mind. So if I win it, actually, I can remember what to scratch it. No. Okay, scratch that. Okay, so if I win, no, I got it. Okay, if I win, you would have to buy a 49ers jersey. And if I lose, then I would have to buy a Cowboys jersey.
Okay, I actually like.
Okay, I like that too.
That's what I was thinking.
I like that better. Okay, so we'll leave Taylor and CMC out of it since they're not really our guys like that anyway. But yeah, definitely do that.
I like it.
And I'll throw up the X on the show.
That's 2 bets. So we have 2 end of the season bets. We got to start writing these down. Next, it's me and Mike. We have to get a bet going.
Maybe Mike need to do something. We'll figure this out next. We'll figure this out on the next pod.
We agree with everything. We just disagree with you.
So I'm the scapegoat. That's what you guys have me as.
Yeah, this is our therapy session.
Right.
Wait till if the Cowboys lose, wait till how we act the next week.
You're welcome. Okay. So actually, I can say that's pretty much the end of the show. But like, I believe.
Yeah.
I believe you have one more thing, Manny.
Yep. So, like how we brought up last week, where I just came up with someone random about the Wonderlic test. How I'm making my players, my fantasy players, do Wonderlic test to basically the highest score gets to pick their draft order. So they get to pick 1 through 12, and then so on and so on and so on. My question is, if you get the high score on the Wonderlic, what position would you want to draft this year? based on like the first round, and then how it's a snake. We're going to do snake draft. So if you get 12, you get 13 as well. So in your opinion, Will, and then Mike, where would you guys want to? What position would you want to draft?
Personally, I've always been a fan of drafting late, so anywhere between 9 through 12, just because of that turnaround, or just because of that turnaround where you'll be able to get someone with someone solid like right back. But the catch to that is if you draft that way, then that means that you have to sometimes overreach for certain players if you actually want them. So a friend of mine actually asked me about this or something similar to that as far as late round, late picks in each round. Like he's number 10 overall, and he's trying to get an idea as far as how to get started and things like that. But my answer was, it's depending on who you actually want and how everyone else is drafting. And at the same time, like as far as a specific example, like if there's some player that you really, really like, and if you really want to create the combo of something, like in this case, like for his case, I set an example of Travis Kelce in the first round and Patrick Mahomes in the second round. Since Patrick Mahomes is already going to the second round anyway, which I think is a reach. But at the same time, like you have to realize that you're not going to be drafting for a very, very long time. So the players that you choose has to be someone that's going to have like a very acceptable floor, and then from there have enough upside and enough of a ceiling for you to say, okay, I'm willing to take this bet on this person.
I like that. Me personally, I like being around that 3 to 5 range. I like being around 3 to 5. I feel like you're kind of, you're not having to wait, because I mean that's another part that sucks about drafting, right? If you're picking last or picking first, it seems like you have to wait forever before you pick again. I mean, you do get to pick back to back if you're doing the snake format, but it takes so long to get to you. But I like 3 or 4. I feel like 3, 4, or 5. I feel like that kind of takes away the possibility of you reaching for somebody crazy in a way. And I feel like when you're in that position, you're kind of gonna pick someone who might fall to you, because there's always a manager who picks somebody crazy, right? Like, like didn't expect to see that. So I feel like you can get somebody valuable who can fall to you if you're in one of those positions. Probably more 4 or 5 than 3, but I feel like that spot in the draft is kind of at the top half of the middle, and I feel like there you can have a good selection of players that you can pick throughout the draft if you're wise.
Right. I like that. So I do want to bring it up. So if you're 3, 4, 5. You're looking at Austin Eckler, because Jonathan Taylor and CMC are going to go 1, 2. You're looking at Austin Eckler, Cooper Kupp, Derrick Henry, 3, 4, 5, and the one I'm looking at, Fantasy Pros. So let's say you get Eckler, right? Mm-hmm. And then you're not drafting until when? The 20th or something around there?
Like the 20th range, yeah.
You're getting Aaron Jones, Tyreek Hill, Javonte Williams. So are you okay on that 3 to 5?
Most definitely, yeah. I would take Aaron Jones with that spot,
because then you have where
that, and I can focus on other things beyond that point.
I like that. And then Will, you said 9, right?
Yeah, about 9 to 12. Yeah.
So you have Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, Devontae Adams, and then you'll get the 15, 16 around there, 17. You could get Nick Chubb, Deebo Samuel, or Alvin Kamara. So if you stack those two, say I'm just trying to put this out there. Say you get Jamar or Joe Mixon, and then you come around and get Alvin Kamara or Deebo on your side, and then you get Austin Eckler, and who was the other one? Aaron Jones. Which 2 players would you rather want?
First of all, I would probably pick, like, if based on how everyone else is drafting.
Yeah.
Like I already told you guys, I'm a huge Aaron Jones believer this year.
Yep.
So I would probably try to reach and get Aaron Jones.
Reach for him?
So I may probably would, yes. But as far as like those 2, I'm looking at it now. So you said Jamar Chase and like the Deebo, Nick Chubb, Alvin Kamara area.
Yeah, so say Nick Chubb or Alvin Kamara because you're going to get Jamar Chase. So you're just, unless you're going no running back, but
that would be difficult because I would love to do like one running back and then just start doing a bunch of pass catchers.
Yep.
But based on the ADP, I wouldn't mind getting, based on what I just saw, if CeeDee Lamb is still there, which he likely is, then I wouldn't mind a Jamar Chase CeeDee Lamb start. I love the hell out of that, actually.
Yeah. So I want to put this out there. I want to pick 7th because you're kind of on. You're not the middle, but you're like the back end, start of the back end. So you keep picking, right?
Right.
So you have. I'm picking Dalvin Cook, and then at like 17, 18, I'm getting Alvin Kamara. Just imagine Dalvin Cook and Alvin Kamara. Kamara's not getting suspended.
Right.
Court case. You got 2 top running backs right there, and then I can finish with wide receivers.
Do you believe that there's enough wide receivers, solid wide receivers? Do you feel that there's enough moving ahead? Because looking at everything from 26 through, I'll just say starting at the 3rd round. Here's 5 receivers that would be available based on the ADP. Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, AJ Brown, T. Higgins, and Michael Pittman Jr.
Yes.
So
I love all those.
So you're okay with pretty much any of them in the 3rd round.
Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara, and T. Higgins. I'll take that all day. Or Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara, and who was Keenan Allen available?
Keenan Allen.
And Keenan Allen, I'm set. I'm living life. Or I wait and get Mike Williams later on and get another wide receiver in that 3rd round, Mike Evans or something.
And that's what I was gonna say too. Like, you guys, we're generally giving like an option of 3 players, right? But there's a whole board of players you can do. I mean, I took Aaron Jones because that's the option that was given to me. But I could go Keenan Allen, right? I could go. Who did I have who's taken the 1st round? Eckler. So I could go Eckler, Keenan Allen, right? And then maybe I could take a stab on Dameon Pierce or something later on. I mean, so it just depends on the way you want to kind of manipulate your draft.
There's some good wide receivers late round too. Like, for example, everyone's praising Allen Robinson. Overall 72, you got Michael Thomas coming back. DeAndre Hopkins, yes, he's getting suspended, but he's down far. Adam Thielen, people are praising him. He had a health issue last year. My guy, Elijah Moore. Robert Woods is Tennessee's number 1, and he's number 40th wide receiver. My other guy, Alan Lazard, is 44th. So Kadarius Toney, one of your guys, I think it was Mike's guy, 46. I don't know. Chris Olave, 48. I'm just naming these ones that are going down the list.
Hold on.
So you could pick, man. That's where I'm getting at. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to try to pick 2 top tier running backs and then maybe a wide receiver and go back to another running back because of all the value you could get at a running or a wide receiver late round.
I kind of feel, and I've somewhat talked about it already, but I kind of feel the reverse that let me get as much solid pass catchers as possible in rounds 2 through 5. And then from there, there's enough. I feel that there's enough running backs that has enough upside for me to be satisfied. Let me actually take a look. Because we talked about Breece Hall. We talked about, didn't talk about, but we also have J.K. Dobbins that's available. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I feel, will be okay. A.J. Dillon would be okay. And someone I've written about before, Miles Sanders. I think that he should get the majority of the touches, but like overall, I don't really need I don't need 2 Super Saiyan running backs, is all I'm saying. I would kind of prefer, like,
doesn't hurt,
especially with PPR. I know it doesn't hurt, but I'm just saying, like, with a PPR league, I would kind of prefer more to have like the Supermen that are the wide receivers for their team, like the top wide receivers for their teams. So I would rather go that route versus running backs, which is usually probably the most replaceable, maybe not replaceable, but like probably one of the hardest positions to actually try to predict as far as who's gonna be healthy at the end of the year.
Yeah, my argument to that though is Delvin Cook and like from example of mine, Delvin Cook and Elvin Kamara are both pass catching running backs. So your PPR goes through the roof just with your running backs. And then if you could get one of like the lower end wide receiver ones like Robert Woods as like a wide receiver too. I was telling you Alan Lazard in there with a Keenan Allen. I mean, I'm loving my team.
We can honestly argue this forever.
We could. It's a debate. I guess we all have the conclusion is we all have different opinions, and that what makes fantasy great. We'll see who works out because I mean my strategy might be horrible, and there's going to be people like Will or people in the comments who are like, "Man, Manny's an idiot. Why would you want that when you could have this?" So, that's what makes fantasy fun in the banter. So.
In a nutshell, true. Mike, any thoughts?
No, I definitely agree. That's why me personally, I kind of do fantasy almost like an NFL team would do its draft board. Like I usually just go best available player. I mean, I really do. If the best player is a wide receiver, I'm going to take him. If it's a running back, I'm going to take him. Tight end, I'm going to take him. And kind of just do it that way. Now, traditionally, I tend to lean more towards running backs, but it just depends on what's available when I'm drafting. So. Like Manny said, that's the beautiful part about fantasy. You never know how it's going to break down. You kind of just have to be ready to adjust and pick your player when it's time to pick your player. So, yeah, that's what makes it
fun. So that being said, what we were talking about amongst each other is possibly next week we would go into doing a mock draft. And from there, we would pretty much either do the mock draft together as one single unit, or we just do 3 individual ones, and we'll figure out how we'll do it by next week, and then from there we'll show the results here and just see people's thoughts as far as each other's drafts. So there's going to be that. There's going to be more things, and there's going to be more news coming out every single day. Throughout all the training camps, throughout all the preseason games, there's going to be people that's going to get hurt. There's going to be people that get moved up on depth charts and things like that. So one of the places where you can get any kind of updates as far as our thoughts and things like that is if you follow us on Instagram. So that's on NXT UP Fantasy. That didn't come out right, but Next Up Fantasy as far as our Insta. And we might also start doing some shorts as well on YouTube. So with that being said, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications and put them on as far as you knowing when we're putting up a new episode like this, or whenever we're trying something a little bit new, a little bit different, because we are still on the rookie stage as far as this show, but trust us, we're going to get better and better and better. So that being said, that's pretty much a wrap for this week's episode. For the Next Up Fantasy crew, for Manny.
Peace.
For Mike Thesis.
Blessings, you guys. Next time.
I am Will. Trey Area. Everyone have a good night. Have a good morning. Have a good afternoon whenever you guys are watching this, and see you guys next week. Let's go.